Dave Tosh, Executive Director, Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center. Today I'm joined by Andrew Thompson of the Columbia Grove Covenant Church in East Wenatchee.
That's right.
And Ray Dobbs, who's got a special program that he's kind of been the leader of associated with the church. And we're going to talk about a big event coming up. And we did this about a year ago, but a whole year's gone by, and I'm sure a lot of progress has been made. So I'm going to let you guys talk a little bit about what you're doing, connecting the generations.
You know, it's a challenge these days to try and do that, and I know that that's on the mission statement for the Activity Center as well. Here, what we have found is that our culture gives grandparents, once they retire, permission to sail away. And that's not where the Bible doesn't really give us that permission. We're still really engaged in trying to pass on our wisdom and our faith and be engaged with our grandkids. And so this group that we're part of is called Legacy Coalition. It started about 6 years ago down in Texas, Chuck Swindoll's church, and Awana was the group that started. Awana is a Christian ministry that's been around forever worldwide, and they do elementary kids, and they were seeing grandparents missing in action in those kids' lives. And so they actually started this group called Legacy Coalition to try and get grandparents energized. No, they're not done yet. Trained so that they understand that you don't pound and preach. You tell stories, you ask questions, you get engaged. And we had an opportunity to stop by and meet Andrew and his group at Columbia Grove about a year and a half ago. Told him a little bit about this ministry, and he said, you know what, I think there's a fit here.
Absolutely. Well, and that's where this event that you're referring to is. So it's called the Legacy Grandparenting Summit. So, I mean, you hear conferences all the time that are there to, whether it's a business conference to equip somebody for business, or in church world, there's often things like men's conferences, women's conferences, marriage conferences, to equip people for that season and phase of life. Well, this is the first time, at least that I've been aware, and I'm almost 30 years into full-time ministry now, of something that is geared just for equipping grandparents to invest in their grandkids. How cool is that? Because you think of all of the forces, all the cultural forces that make it harder for those intergenerational connections. Well, this conference helps to resource people so that they get some tools to kind of bridge that gap. I think most grandparents want to invest in their grandkids. They want to pass on their faith, pass on their wisdom, pass on their life experience to their grandkids. But it's just hard sometimes to find the language and the tools, and conferences like this help to equip.
It seems like there's an elevation of 10,000 feet difference between where grandparents live and communicate and where the grandkids are.
Right. Well, all the technology,
exactly.
Different terms. I mean, pop culture. It is legitimately tricky to navigate.
So Legacy Coalition's goal is to try and give grandparents the tools to be able to reach out and to do that. I brought a couple along. Let's, before we start, the summit, this meeting that we're talking about is October 20th and 21st, so it's coming up soon. If you go to the columbiagrove.org, the website for the church, and scroll down under events, you'll see one for the that gives all the information about the grandparenting, how to get logged on, registered for it. The cost is $59. There's some discounts. Our church has scholarships. Several other churches are scholarshiping if there's a problem with the money. And once you register for this, it's a Thursday and a Friday. If you can't come to each one of those sessions, you have 30 days of free access to all the videos that are there. Some of the people that are coming, for example, Ann Graham Lotz is one of the keynote speakers on this thing. Also Crawford Loritz, Tim and Darcy Kimmel are kind of well known in the grandparenting world, and John Stone Street as well. And there's 20 different keynote speakers, just a couple of the names. And it goes on, it's a full 2-day thing. It happens in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, as long as it doesn't get blown away here recently. But it happens in Jacksonville. We used to go to these things live. Last year, the first year, they started giving an opportunity for churches to live remote broadcast this. And Columbia Grove did that last year. It was so good.
Yeah, it worked out really well. So, so even being a simulcast location, it means that people don't need to travel hundreds of miles or incur the extra hotel expenses to be a part of something that really gathers like-minded people together, gives them some equipping, and then also helps them to kind of connect with those a larger community. So if you're a grandparent that wants to invest in your grandkids, and you do find some struggles, and I mean just the common experiences of grandparenting, like parenting, which I'm more familiar with.
You'll get there.
I'll get there. But just to have a community to of like-minded people that are supporting each other in both the joys and the struggles of grandparenting.
Some of the things, this is some of the tools that we have available. It's called Let's Talk cards. And you're talking about bridging the gap.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
has questions divided by age group. It has questions for the grandparent to ask to the grandkid and for the grandkid to ask back to the grandparent, and to try and open up that door of communication. How do you make that work? A lot of us senior parents who graduated into grandparents think we were pretty good at parenting, right? And our tendency is to want to help our kids to do that.
Yeah, but there's different rules for grandparenting. Just as like we're now in the phase where we're parents of adult children, and realizing that as they start moving out of the house, the rules shift. And so even just to put some language around some of those relational changes so that kind of how to speak into somebody's life without feeling like you're pushing or shoving or imposing or preaching at them.
This one kind of sums it up. It's kind of
Yeah.
cool. The book is called Doing Life with Your Adult Children, and the subtitle is Keep Your Mouth Shut and the Welcome Mat Open.
Out.
I
Yeah.
mean, any kind of advice that you give to your adult kids, you're laughing about this because you've seen this happen, haven't you?
Oh, yeah.
Any advice you give is taken as criticism.
Yeah.
And if you know that, you tend not to be so free to go out and try and micromanage
To
your
me,
kids and grandkids.
the big thing with a lot of us is the technology. And you already
Yeah.
mentioned that these kids are just focused on these devices. And
So part of our
trying to-
training is trying to help grandparents not be afraid of that, to show them how they can use their phones, how they can do FaceTime, they can do Zoom,
Exactly.
and to use those tools. Because one of those challenges of grandparenting today is the kids are 1,000 miles away, the
Right.
grandkids. And this is, don't be afraid of it. You got a great tool in front of you. So that's part of what we're teaching.
Yeah. Well, so we, like I mentioned, we have adult daughters, and so our youngest is off at college, and my mom, she had a birthday just a few days ago, and to know that here her college age granddaughter is just doing a video chat with her on her birthday and connecting. I mean, those are having the tools to know how to do that without being intimidated by that can do so much to build a deeper relationship, even when there is distance.
We have 10 grandkids. We have 5 kids, 10 grandkids. They range in age from 25 down to a year and a half. And we thought we were doing this pretty well. We were pretty active parents. We've been pretty engaged grandparents. Since we got engaged with Legacy, we have learned tools and systems and ways like this to keep your mouth shut and welcome out open. We've learned those kind of tools that have helped us just grow into that relationship so much more aggressively.
Yeah.
It's been really neat.
Well, I know I've got 10 grandkids as well, so
Good for you.
we're dealing with a lot of that, and they're all geographically removed from where we are, and
Yeah.
it takes a lot of time and effort to connect with them physically. But obviously there is technology, and we can utilize some of that. But and this is my own personal situation, but I will say that I am taking time off on Monday to go watch one of my grandkids play a JV football game in Tumwater
Good boy.
on Monday night,
Yeah.
and then coming back to work on Tuesday at some point. And then I'm taking my wife to Arizona and dropping her off as a snowbird, and then I'm flying back through Denver so I can watch a granddaughter in Denver play soccer.
Exactly.
So sometimes you just have to prioritize your life.
Yeah, you look for those
around-
investment opportunities.
because they are important
They sure are.
events to
They sure
spend
are.
quality time.
So imagine a group of folks who get together and with the purpose of trying to get better at this, to try and understand how the separation is, how to bridge it, how to have tools in your toolbox to be able to help bridge those relationships and keep them strong. And that's what this group is all about. A great way to start that process, we'll roll back to Summit again, coming up October 20th and 21st, and simulcast at Columbia Grove. Again, if you'd like more information about that, you can go to columbiagrove.org. And if you're into slashes, you can put /legacy, Legacy
Yep.
Coalition /legacy, or online at legacycoalition.com.
And if somebody doesn't have internet access,
Let me give you a phone number they can call. Do people still have phones?
some,
884-4001.
okay.
So just call the church up. We'll help you
and
connect.
you'll help them connect.
Absolutely.
That's important.
Yeah.
We do still have a lot of seniors that are not connected.
You bet.
We still do a printed newsletter for a reason.
You bet. You bet.
And we still use a lot of phones. So
Well,
yeah.
it's exciting. The hard part about I'm mid-70s, and the hard part about that is that as you get older, you tend to be less agile. You're less open to change, less able to kind of try new things. And that's what this has done, is it's kind of kept our knees bent, kind of kept us leaning into getting better at what we need to do. And these are all tools that Legacy Coalition really has a lot of access to. The website, if you want to go, this book and the Let's Talk cards are all on legacycoalition.com.
There are so many of us that are looking to find ways to build better intergenerational connections. And so this is just tying into what Rufus Woods is doing, tying into what you're doing, and so many other organizations. This just adds the faith component, because of course for people of faith, finding a way to also meaningfully talk about your faith can be one of the most valuable and difficult parts of your legacy. So among other things, I think that also is the reason why finding a group of some like-minded people, people that are wrestling with the same questions, and comparing some notes and encouraging one another on, because truth is, it is hard. It is hard to talk about your faith in meaningful ways to the next generation. So, anyways, I hope that you'll just see what we're doing and what we're hoping other churches will increasingly do as just part of a movement of intergenerational connection.
One of the things, just to make sure that this is real clear, this is not Columbia Grove Church beating the drum to get people to come to Columbia Grove. The goal that my wife Catherine and I have is trying to help churches all over the valley start grandparenting ministry.
Exactly.
To inside their own church and their own work. And Legacy has tools available to make that an easy start. You don't need a full-time staff person. You don't need that. It can be done in a volunteer way. We have ongoing content that you can use to try and sustain the ministry and keep it going. So this is a bigger picture than just we're going to doing a summit meeting for 2 days in October at Columbia Grove. This is trying to do a better job of trying to get connected to all the churches in the valley.
And pastorally, my heart is that, and by our involvement in this, it helps for local congregations to kind of change their paradigm just a bit. Like, for many years, churches think about like children's ministry. Oh, because kids have particular needs, so let's have some program content that's just for kids, and teen ministry, and maybe young adults, and men's ministry, women's ministry, etc. But just the category of grandparenting has its own needs and its own pressures. And its own resources. And so let's be deliberate about grandparenting ministry in our local churches. So this isn't an idea that we own. It's just one that we're hoping that we will be catalytic for helping others adopt and do it in their own way.
And the Senior Center, through our Community Outreach Committee. Daryl Dickinson is the leader of that committee, and we've been really thinking hard about how we can bring the generations together, and hopefully we can work together on some projects here in the near future.
I think there'll be a lot of overlap.
To get, I think there is.
Look forward to that.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time today. Appreciate
Thanks, Dave.
it. Okay.